Yo! Video games.
What up, dudes, and welcome back to the Yo Video Games podcast. I'm Matt.
And I'm Andrew.
And once again, thank you to all our generous patrons who've kept us going for just about 500 episodes.
Very, very close now. Yeah, if you're interested in becoming a patron at any level, please check out patreon.com/YoVideogames podcast. Due to the week is Bradley the Raging Cajun Cook. Still
Love
a great
it.
name. Been
Love
a couple
it.
years. Excellent name. Where are you a cook, Bradley? Can we come there and eat your Raging Cajun food?
Louisiana.
I mean, I don't want to assume. There's Cajuns all over the place.
True. But how great would it be if it was like he was catching his own crawfish, like right out on his back door?
Do you know where Cajuns were before getting literally dumped in the swamps of Louisiana?
Canada.
Yeah, in Canada. They were also in New York for a while. Then they got shipped up to Canada, and then they were shipped down to Louisiana. And one of the key things in all of those places is that they turned swamps into perfect farmland. They knew how to make levees and stuff that drained land, and swamps, if you drain them, make excellent farmland. And so the British really liked that about the Acadians. That's the root name. The Acadians, who were French, and then also just didn't trust them and assumed they were always spies. So they just kept shoving them off to the next place. And then in Louisiana, they thrived, and then America bought Louisiana.
We bought them for pennies on the acre.
Indeed. So we're nearing Evo, and it seems to beg like a fighting game episode. And there's one hard question that you posed on, well, all social media, but that you posed on the internet. How do you make a new fighting game IP?
Yeah, like when was the last time we even had one? And I mean, the internet's collective memory was like Blaze Blue in 2008, and like, yeah, kind of. And
Blaze Blue wasn't based on anything?
No, it was the original idea, and there's like Under Night In Birth, kind of, depending on, because indies make new fighting games all the time. Like there's a lot of like upstart indie fighting games. Blazing Strike, I think, was something I saw recently. And it's all like new. So indies are kind of trying to do it every so often. But like, when was the last time a publisher, like an established publisher, was like, let's make a new video game IP that's not like a reboot or a comeback or based on something else? And yeah, maybe to that, like there were two good examples where it's like, these aren't traditional fighting games, but ARMS came out in 2017 and For Honor came out in 2017. They're kind of fighting games. Like ARMS, I gotta get it. I don't know what else you would classify it, but yeah, ARMS is kind of a brand new fighting game IP.
Well, I mean, I'm sure there's like purists who are like ARMS and Smash don't count for all the jokes that I've ever made about it, but yeah, I don't know what you would say that ARMS is if not a fighting game. Yeah,
and that was a brand new roster. It's not based on anything. It's brand new characters. So yeah, we're going into Evo. It's there's excitement. I think there's a lot more excitement. With the announcement that Marvel Tokon is going to be playable there, which
incredible,
man. I wish that was figured out. I wish that was known sooner. I think that would have actually been a lot more. That actually might have made going to Evo a lot more enticing, because there was a thing saying where people noticed how like the number of entrants this year was a little less than, which isn't actually that crazy considering all the games are older now. None of these games are new. Everything is in their second, third year,
also like how much less? It's not, I didn't think it was crazy less.
I think the lowest drop was like 19% for Street Fighter 6, and then like some of them are like near 50 for Mortal Kombat and Tekken.
Oh, that's pretty hefty.
Well, people hate Tekken. Like it's not even that like oh, people don't care at all. It was like people hate what happened to Tekken this year with their season 2. So they've been on a rebound. That's like the drastic. And then nobody liked Mortal Kombat 1. So Mortal Kombat 1 going from like 600 to 300 entrants is like big deal.
Yeah, what was it about MK1 specifically that no one liked?
A couple different things. Like really, people didn't gravitate to the cameo system that much. Because they have like these non-playable tag people who just run in, do a move, and jump out, right?
Okay, yeah.
So they have cameos, which are, I think some people feel like, when say a character maybe has a cameo, but they're not a playable character, it feels like they lost their character. Their character got taken out of the playable roster so they could throw a cameo. People really didn't like the reboot storyline timeline. weren't really
Yeah, I remember that being kind of
weren't really
frustrating.
jiving with that. There were some other minor things. I think a lot of it was like people just didn't like the cameo system. Um, because it's funny. There's in the Mortal Kombat universe, there's a fandom, I should say. There's sort of a bit of a divide because a lot of people really did like 11 because 11 was a very back to basics kind of Mortal Kombat where like, okay, let's slow it down, let's tone
Yeah,
it
people would call
down.
it slow. That's the thing I remember about 11.
Yeah. So 11 was like a really slowed down back to basics Mortal Kombat. That literally did like, a time travel like the old versions of the characters and the new version, the young versions of the characters. People liked 11. But there was a large amount of MK players who really didn't like 11. They liked X or 10 because it was really fast. It was really like combo heavy. And it feels like I think the people who liked X liked Mortal Kombat 1 more than 11, but not that many. It wasn't like everyone who liked X liked 1. It was just sort of like, okay, people who were like, I wish there was more to do in the combat. I feel it's too slowed. It's too stripped down of features in 11. They kind of liked 1, but only a little bit. Like it
Hmm.
wasn't. It just didn't like it. It just didn't have. And the other weird. And here's and truly, I'm leaving out like kind of like probably one of the bigger things that really hurt. One. Sorry. One was content deprived compared to 11. There was a lot less things to do just in game than there was in 11. It's very strange because MK1 has the longest time between NetherRealm games, and it has
NetherRealm games are known for how packed they are with content.
yeah, and it
Yeah.
it it not having much to do beyond there's the story mode and the online fighting. They didn't have traditional sense what are called towers, little challenge mode things or little challenge ladders. They didn't have a crypt like crypt to walk around in like 11 did. I think X did, and even 9 to an extent. Um, it was just missing content. There wasn't much. There really wasn't much for anyone to do beyond online fighting after the story mode, and I think that really did hurt Mortal Kombat 1 a lot. And it kind of goes back to my I talk about my triangle strategy. My what was the Lakers coach, Bulls coach. The triangle strategy, which is you need presentation, you need roster size, you need content. Content being the third part of that. Where if you don't give casual players singles, there's a lot of people who enjoy. Believe it or not, a lot of people enjoy fighting games single player.
It's the only way I can
Like
play because I'm
there's
such garbage.
a lot of people just like in playing whatever challenges they can do single player within the game, and they don't really care because they know they're going to get pub stomped online, which it's a whole nother discussion. About the fighting game community is like, if you ain't teaching, you're basically driving people away.
Well,
But
that's been a problem since at least the 90s.
yeah,
How
since fighting
how
games really
far back
started
does the fighting game community go?
in the 90s, like 92, 93.
There wasn't one in the 80s? I thought there was a fighting game
What
in the
fighting
80s.
game?
Why do I feel like there's something I'm
What
forgetting?
fighting game, Andrew?
Look, hey, I'm barely
Like no, that's the thing. I think a lot of people don't realize this. It's like Street Fighter 1 didn't garner a fighting game community. Street Fighter 2 did. There was like, Street Fighter 1 was a game that had these two big buttons that you would mash to punch and kick, like
right.
huge
Yeah.
giant like that was a gimmick game basically. Like Street Fighter 2 is like basically the first fighting game.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
King of Fighters started in '94, and there was like Art of Fighting, Fatal Fury, like right before that. But it's like no, like early '90s is when fighting games started.
I don't know why I have this like clear. Well, mostly we played fighting games in arcades. Like
Well, yeah,
I didn't know anybody that had or played fighting games at home, really. Like my brother
Mm.
played tons of fighting games, mostly MK, but like we owned MK at home, but like he mostly played at arcades. It's why like the FGC is so competitive. Everyone's super aggressive
yeah.
because of the arcade scene. Um, but I don't know why I have this weird. I feel like there was something that I have like a Mandela effect where like I remember playing. You know when you can like vaguely like it can't be real, and I can't even like picture. It's like a weird nightmare fuel. You know what? I had this happen to me. I had a dream that I was stuck in a room with Al Pacino. So don't listen to me. just,
Did you at least
it
get
was
some
just
dunking? Just get some dunking out of it.
it was Al Pacino from the movie Heat,
Oh, not Jack and
continuously
Jill.
screaming at me.
Would you rather have that or Al Pacino from Jack and Jill?
Al Pacino from Heat, of course. What are we talking about?
But
We talked
Dunkachino.
about Ashley Judd's ass like you know like it is literally a nuclear bomb. Which I mean, Ashley Judd of that era. Ashley Judd still probably. I don't know. I haven't seen her, but there's a reason Val Kilmer risked it all to go back. Okay, that's all I'm saying. Anyway, the point is, I had a Mandela effect there where I thought, like in '91 or I guess '92 would technically be the right year for, but we definitely didn't own Street Fighter. Anyway, yeah, I guess since the very dawn of fighting games, people have been assholes. So they are. You know what? Yeah, actually, I don't know. I don't think I met anybody in the arcade scene that was nice. Like nobody taught anybody, and like you either kept winning or you like burned through quarters.
There was nice people in my college arcade, but then there was fights that broke out there too. So
Throwing bows over
throwing the stools.
somebody. Somebody talking shit about Guile. Is that what's going on? Huh? Or Dulcim?
No, I don't think it was as petty as that.
God, I hope it was.
I had a friend. He pissed off another guy who was sort of like an infamously eccentric dude at the college because
In
he
the
just wanted to
FGC?
play SNK by himself. He wanted to play one of the King of Fighters on his own. And my friend, he knew King of Fighters, so he went up and he would see him go and playing, and he would go and challenge him and beat him, and he would get mad because he just wanted to play by his own. But he's like, "It's arcade rules, bitch."
Yeah, I don't know how we got the FGC of today. To be honest, it's crazy. Can't think for the life of me why it's a community full of belligerent assholes. Yeah. Okay. So what was your triangle again? You got to have content. You got to have roster. You got to have
Roster presentation. Like it doesn't necessarily mean like you need to have good graphics. No, it has to look good. It doesn't have to look cutting edge. It just has to look good. Like it has to look appealing. There has to
I don't
be
know.
like
I don't know. Can you make? And it's not based on anything. Like okay, let's. So one of the big three. Someone AAA, like a AAA, or
yeah, just a budget, like
obviously we're not talking
a
about indies.
sizable budget. Obviously you're not going to throw $100 million at this thing. We're talking about something that has like $40 to $60 million thrown at the
Yeah, so
development.
like nothing. Give me $40 to $60 million. I won't. I can't give you a game, but I will. I would be such a good rich person.
Well, so how do you make it? Because everyone says like no, you pretty much can't because like there's no you have to be safe bet. If you make a new fighting game, it better be based on something. It's got to be based on Power Rangers, it's got to be based on League of Legends or whatever. And I think that's an interesting thing to kind of like stop, hold on, wait a minute. When you're saying like oh well, like League of Legends, it's a very well known because they're making 2X KO, and it's like just stop yourself right there. How old is League of Legends? Maybe 10 years old, right?
Yes.
And let's rewind the clocks back and let's look at League of Legends and let's look at Overwatch. They were completely brand new IPs at one point.
Yeah, but 10 years ago, people still took risks. We don't do that anymore. We do like derivatives.
I mean, even 10 years ago, people were not taking a whole lot of risks. They're
No,
taking
it's
less
true.
now than they did then, but like they still had to introduce you now granted these are not fighting games, these are MOBA shooters. They were Overwatch was loot boxes initially, and I believe League is free to play as far as I'm aware. So they're using like a free to play loot, buy the cosmetics or whatever.
Well, MOBAs were born off of a mod,
Right.
right? It was like to
So
Warcraft or something, right?
yeah, Dawn of the Ancients, yes, for Warcraft 3. MOBAs owe their existence to Warcraft 3.
Yeah, same with
Um,
like Battle Royale owes its existence to DayZ.
right.
Like,
So the thing is they still had to make a brand new IP with Overwatch at some point, and League of Legends at some point had to be.
right.
And Marvel Rivals is kind of like new, but it's based off Marvel or whatever. But like Valorant, brand new IP. And like what was like the first hero shooter? Kind of technically Team Fortress 2, in a way, or even Team Fortress, honestly, in a sense. Although it was more like a
Yeah.
class-based shooter than a hero shooter. But
Although Team Fortress 2 did eventually sort of seem like a hero shooter because they made all those shorts.
Exactly. But like how you had to get to a point where you had to introduce, and people were on board with Overwatch from its first big cinematic trailer. And how did they sell Overwatch? Presentation.
And ass physics.
Presentation and roster. And I'm like, this is I no one's gonna do it, but I think it's entirely possible for someone to so like Sega's coming back with Virtua Fighter 6, right? The legacy sales are the people who are going like, oh yeah, Virtua Fighter, I remember that. I'm excited for a new Virtua Fighter. Boy, that's going to be small. Although they did get a ton of people in with that 2 free months of VF5 on PS4, so they kind of just like schmoozed their way into like, hey, here's this classic fighting game. Why don't you play it for free? No strings attached, whatever. Now they're like, now when a new one comes out, but that's a whole nother thing. Here is, I think,
so we start with roster.
You start
with roster because presentation is going to be a thing.
You start with both. Like you kind of they kind of go hand in hand. The reason I say that is like what any new fighting game, it has to do the same thing that Overwatch did and League of Legends did, and that is hypercharge it with bisexual energy. This is how you make a new fighting game. You make it bisexually charged. And what I mean is you make it a character that every person of that gender wants to be that character, and every person of the opposite gender wants to fuck that character, or both. And my examples of this are very clearly you take someone like Jinx, or maybe more known like Harley or whatever, but you also take characters like Mercy and Diva, and they're just character. They're obviously they work great for Booner, or not Booner, new word, Gooner bait. They work good for Gooner bait, but you know what they also do? They're also appealing even to the people of that same gender. Again, bisexually charge this thing, because you go to a convention, whole hell of a lot of people going to be cosplaying as Jinx. I guess now everyone right now, it's a show, it's a movie on Netflix, but the K-pop Demon Hunters,
yeah.
Apparently, people were saying
movie.
that like there were just tons of people at Comic-Con dressed up as these characters, which means that a bunch of girls are gravitating towards these characters, and a whole bunch of guys are gooning to these characters. And it is their most watched animated movie ever. Why? Because it is so bisexually charged.
And the music's great.
Sure, whatever. I don't know. I haven't watched it. I don't really. I personally
it's no Josie and the Pussycats, but it's got great songs.
But you get what I'm saying here, right? Because the thing is, if you lean too hard into the super gooner side, then you do risk alienating, a bunch of people, because it's like you can have very sexually attractive characters, but if you go too far, you end up looking like some cheap, some cheap Asian gotcha game that is very specifically only targeting very lonely 20-year-old males. and those ones don't catch on as well. Like Overwatch and League of Legends and hell, K-pop Demon Hunter, whatever. These are worldwide phenomenon. Okay, so for someone who's old like you and me, an easier way of saying this is you take the cast of The Mummy with Brendan Fraser,
Oh my God, yeah.
and that's your starting point.
Okay.
Okay. There is nothing that is more bisexually charged than the cast of The Mummy.
It is responsible for a lot of sexual awakenings.
Right? So this is what helps a modern day fighting game succeed is you want your Genjis, your Divas, your Meis, you want your Mercies, and you want your Jinx, you want your, what's her name, V or Vi or whatever, the punch chick they just announced for 2XK, who apparently is one of the biggest League of Legends characters.
Yes.
It's like, there you go. And there you go. That's what people want. Again, it's both. It kind of covers two bases: presentation. Well, now presentations, you got to make sure it looks good. Your art style needs to be on point. You can't have something that looks cheap. You can't have something that looks bad. You can't, because like Street Fighter and Marvel characters are beautiful. I mean, they are supposed to be beautiful characters, right? Marvel Rivals is blowing up or blew up. Why? Because it's a bunch of characters people know, but the art style was give everyone a big ass and have them run around and people can look at it. And it's like, oh, it's doing super well. Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite died because everyone looked like a thumb. So
okay, I'm gonna go a different direction here with you. I'm gonna pitch a photorealistic hobo fight.
That's fine if you're like 20 in 2005, but
no, it's over the shoulder. So, and it's in like back alley style, like, same, literally Street Fighter, but we make it realistic Street Fighter. It's not E Honda fighting on a beach, slamming you into a car. It's, a dude slamming you into a Honda, but he's, he looks like Nick Cage from Pig.
You just want to walk around downtown LA for a day.
But then you work on making the mechanics really, really good. It's photorealistic with realistic damage that builds up.
I think this is a terrible idea because all it does is remind me of what we used to, what was it? The best friends used to call it crime time era of video games. Remember like 25 to Life and Final Fight Streetwise and Urban Reign and all these like attempts to make like these very urban, brawler games.
Yeah, but you like have move sets and stuff that are interesting and cool, and the realistic damage that builds over time, very, very cool. And you could have hot people in it too. Like you could have your Vi's.
I don't see it.
It's just like a bare knuckle boxing game instead of using.
You want to spend $60 million on a bunch of homeless people punching each other into brick buildings?
Yes, I do.
Well, this is why you're not a developer.
I really, really, really do. And it would be huge.
Do I need to remind you of the failure of Rumbleverse? Granted, that went for hyper cartoony, but
like somebody take a Last of Us 2 mod, and it's just the fist fighting, but that level of realism. Just the hand-to-hand combat of that.
Man, I don't know.
It could be born of a mod, and people would see the vision.
I mean, sure, but
and then they'll spend $60 million on it. Get on it, modders. This is amazing. Let's. You say the triangle. Let's turn it into a butthole. Let's invert that.
Let's invert it. It's going to be prolapsed by the end of this step cycle.
Amazing. No, but I mean, like, if you're gonna, yes, okay, roster is gonna have presentation first.
Yeah, you got to have a good art style, one way or the other. Things got. They don't need to be cutting edge. They just need to look appealing.
But how do you stand out today? It seems like either you go hyper cartoony, or or anime, right? That's Blaze Blue is very anime,
right?
Yeah. Or do you try to, like, all jokes aside, do you try to go for like photorealistic.
I don't think people like. I think less and less people like photorealistic as time goes on. I
And
kind of
personal preference, I would agree with you.
like because just seeing how Fortnite is like eternal, right? In
Right.
Roblox and Minecraft for like no graphics, right? And League of Legends and Overwatch and Marvel Rivals and so many, even Valorant. People, none of these games are actually hyper realistic. Like the only like major hyper realistic game right now is like Call of Duty, and even they're trying to shove Beavis and Butthead into that game now.
What are the say? Yeah, God, what the and like aren't they also putting American Dad characters into it?
They did it in Fortnite.
Amazing.
I don't know. Maybe they
Um,
did it in Call of Duty as well.
for games like what was that MMA fighter that just the MMA fighting game that just came out?
Yeah,
It was like a UFC, a new UFC. Maybe it didn't just come out. Maybe it's been a couple of years as memory hold, but
there are UFC games, and they actually sell pretty well, from what I understand.
yeah, they usually sell pretty well, and they go for a photorealistic.
Yeah, because I mean, they are based off real people,
Yeah, I
So I
wonder,
kind of get that. I get that aspect of it.
but like, is that an image of like you can get more? Like, are we targeting the FGC specifically, or are we targeting,
Oh
for
no,
lack of
I'm
a better
trying to
term,
say like,
normies?
how do we get the mass market into? How do you make a big successful mass market new fighting game? And I'm just saying you got to have again your art style, and you need to have that like that super bisexual energy where it's got to be a character every guy wants to bang, every girl wants to cosplay,
Hmm. Yeah, and I don't know,
and
like,
vice versa. Every a guy characters that every girl wants to bang, and every guy wants to pretend he
bang.
looks as good in
I mean, what?
cosplay as them, and bang,
Yeah,
bang,
if we're
bang.
going for bisexual energy, every character is everyone wants to bang them.
Everyone wants to bang and dress up as them at the same time.
I Yeah, it makes me curious. Like, how do you define, since we're not basing it on anything, how do we pitch a roster with specifics? For
I
somebody
think
listening or watching this,
yeah,
like,
I that's a good question. And I think what you kind of have to do is you kind of have to let go of, and I think League kind of did this well, which is at first I was just confused and weirded, but I'm like, maybe that's part of why it works. Let go of trying to set it at any specific time period, right? Like if you just want to have a like, if you want to have a pirate, just throw a pirate in there, like Steve the Pirate, from Dodgeball. You just have a guy who's that's just his gimmick, right? He's just a pirate or whatever, or she's just a tech junkie, and they exist in the same game because who cares? And I think you got to go to Street Fighter 2, sort of like take a little bit from Street Fighter 2, take a little bit from League of Legends, where it's like just go for these hyper stereotyped, really identifiable. I know what this is. This is a sumo guy. This is military man. This is karate man. This is weird green monster guy.
military
Um,
man does sonic booms with his elbows.
yes, I
Whatever,
boom.
man, go with it.
Like who's the bad guy? A literal Nazi. Like,
Um, yeah, I mean, you want to go with characters that are easily identifiable, especially by their silhouette, right?
yeah.
It's like I'm learning from the animation world. Silhouettes matter a lot. Um, I
I mean, if you think about it, that's kind of like what KI was, and it was successful both the original and its reboot, where it's like, okay, it's just sort of like a monster mash, of different things. It's monsters and some other weird thing. We'll have a big robot, we'll have a werewolf, we'll have an alien. We're gonna have a rock golem, and then the reboot they put a rock golem in there. They put a ghost in there.
think it would be
Um,
interesting to
put a mummy.
rather than avoid any type of setting, lean hard into a setting, like a time space, like, so okay, 80s is easy for us because every millennial thinks the 80s is nostalgic for the 80s, like Gen Z is nostalgic for the 90s. Um, but it's like, okay, you have a werewolf character and you base him off of how werewolves were designed in the 80s rather than like a modern werewolf design.
Yeah, I
Uh,
don't think you. I think honestly, to me, like rather, you should kind of just be open with it and like not really worry about the particulars. Like if a character dresses in complete '80s garb, and like Kimberly in Street Fighter 6, she has like a Walkman, and old headphones and stuff, and she's like an '80s tech junkie, and that's her character. And I'm like, sure, like, fine.
Yeah, don't get locked into any particular. I could understand that. I'm trying to think of an aesthetic. So if we're making a game now,
Mhm.
like me and you are throwing together something like a
Yeah,
pitch,
yeah.
we describe the aesthetic. How do we describe the aesthetic of the roster to where like people will be like, oh yes, that is something that I want that. Like if you were describing MK1, you know, as a reboot of Mortal Kombat, like how do you even?
It's Mortal Kombat, but characters kind of like roles are reversed. Like Liu Kang is now the Raiden character. He's the god. And like maybe, like that was the whole thing with MK1. A lot of people didn't like it, for that reason.
Yeah, but like how would you describe the presentation slash aesthetic? Like if we talk about like Overwatch,
It's like a colorful new day in MK1. It's still hyper realistic, but it's a lot more colorful, and it's a lot, and it's sort of like a new dawn,
Hmm.
like fresh new day. That was like the thing with MK1, but people didn't really gravitate towards it.
Yeah,
And if anything, and Mortal Kombat 1 was kind of like the victim of its own legacy because okay, well, changing the backstory and sort of personal history of all the characters, people didn't actually like that. They don't like it when their characters have complete like role reversals or
yeah.
whatever.
When you spend 20 years building, well, 30 years at this point, I guess, building a roster of characters that people got attached to, which, you know, I guess we could argue is insane to get attached to
Right.
a literal two-dimensional character from, you know, that basically was written to justify the functions in a
Yeah.
way. But I still, that's one of my favorite things about early games is that like some guy had to sit there and be like, okay, how are we going to explain why this guy spits? This is the spitting guy. What do we go? We're going to call him Reptile. Oh, oh, I like that. I like that. He's
Yeah.
going to be green because he spits acid. Yeah, 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 yeah. He's going to have a dinosaur form. What the fuck? Oh, well, all right, whatever. Yeah, we'll do
He's
that.
reptile.
You're a reptile.
Well,
And he
then you're
turns
gonna have a
invisible.
purple ninja. Oh, a purple ninja. What does he do? Like he controls water. Oh, yeah, yeah, he can do water. And he's go purple and he's gonna make it rain. So he's gonna be like like a
Purple
water bender.
rain.
So he's a purple and he makes it rain. We're gonna call him Rain. It'll be a purple rain. What's his backstory? He's a prince.
What's so great about that is like, I hope that's exactly how the conversation went, and the other person involved didn't understand what they were
Well,
referencing.
you know what they did? They actually did this again. They in an update, they hid a brand new character in Mortal Kombat 1, a hidden boss character, in an update. So it wasn't in the base game. So they secretly hid it, and he's really hard to access or get him to come on screen and fight. And guess what? It's a pink ninja. Guess what his name is?
What?
Floyd.
And he's hidden behind a wall.
Yes. You have to get. It's a big wall to get through him.
I wonder if there's a person out there who's gonna make a very long video completely missing the point of his character.
And I remember like I was
That
like why
internet
did they? Well,
source.
I'm like what was so much? Why was there so much like in case like Ed Boon loves he loves Prince. He loves Pink Floyd.
Yeah,
But I'm
I
like,
mean,
oh,
yeah,
okay.
of
That's
course.
it. Which I think is fun. I think that's just like, yeah, there doesn't need to be any more than that. But
His most
yeah.
formative years were in the 70s and 80s. Yeah, yeah, duh, of course. Um, Part of the thing that I think like older fighting games when they were first new, like Street Fighter had a particular sound. That's another thing we can talk about is like
Ooh,
soundtracks.
yeah. Yeah. I think that's very important.
You know, Ki obviously
The big one, yeah.
had an incredible soundtrack. Um, so that would fall under presentation, but it's like
Yeah, I
you
guess it
can't
would, yeah.
pitch because it's so hard to pitch a roster without like having a visual. And obviously, we can't just like draw up a roster for you right now. So we pitch the other aesthetics, right? So it's not going to be photorealistic. We're going to talk about like it's going to be stylized.
Yeah, I think you need to have a really good artist, like a really good character designer on board. Like if you're going to make a brand new fighting game IP, get a really good artist, get character artist, like like person who's really good at designing people,
I know a guy.
Right, exactly. So there's a lot of really good artists out there. You get a really good character concept artist because then you could use that to pitch it. The thing is, what you don't want to ever do is show up to a presentation with fucking Rumbleverse. Like, and
Oof.
I mean, it is a particular art style. It is a classic, very squashy, stretch, cartoony, very distinct art style, and nobody likes it. Nobody wants to pay money to it. To bring up a really old meme, I can't fap to this, so
can we talk about?
Nobody was fapping to Rumbleverse. I mean, probably some weirdo was, and it was probably the artist himself.
I want 16-bit audio again because dudes have never sounded cooler than in like Street Fighter 2's
Oh God,
16-bit.
I think that wouldn't. I don't know. I think as an option, I think it would be nice to have as an option. But I think if you had such a crunchy sounding,
so good. People have nostalgia.
It's so weird because people will whine about like this. Why do the sound effects sound so bad? And I'm playing like Virtua Fighter, which has like even to this day, VF5 still uses the original like stock, really oomphy punches and kicks and jumps and ding 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 ding. But just like the general like punching and kicks are really heavy.
Yeah, where it sounds like they're punching like a trash can.
Yeah, like or like a bag or something, like a bag of something. And people are like, why does the sound effect sound so terrible? And I'm like, what? I'm like, excuse me? Like you feel like when you hit something in VX, because it's like there's a big old oomph behind every connecting punch, but people don't want that. People want the little
I was describing how Foley used to be done. I mean, it's still technically done like this, but like how Foley used to be done in the 80s and 90s, where it was just like whoever was the third guy on the sound team, they'd be like, oh, we need you to go ahead. And he'd go to like his uncle's butcher shop and beat on like sides of beef with like a bat to get the right noise for crunching ribs.
Yeah.
And it's like, and that used to be somebody's job. And the person that I was describing to was all like, oh, well, that's just like so mean. And I'm like, what are you talking about? That's the greatest job in the world. Like all I have to do is make up sounds that you're never going to know what I was actually doing. Like that's great. No, and
I remember years ago
cool.
on Nickelodeon, they had a little behind the scenes for the original Rocko's Modern Life, and like this woman was like doing Foley for it. And there's like a thing where they're watching a commercial, and Rocco and Heifer, like these hands come out of the TV and pick their brains out, spin them around, and then smush it back in their head, like they're basically brain rot. The commercial's rotting their brain, and the sound, they needed a sound effect for like these robotic hands squishing their brains back into their heads, like. And she just had like this, I don't know what it was. It looked like bread or like, dough or something, but it was like some material, like a dough like material. And she was just like on the floor and sat there with like a timer in front of her looking at a screen and just went like, and just smushed her hands down into this like goop, whatever, like this like slime or, wet flour or whatever it was. And it was like, yeah. And that's how we got this sound effect of a brain squish.
And fed her damn family doing it.
Yep.
Amazing. Can't have that anymore. Get rid of that person.
You just have AI do it.
Guillermo del Toro had an amazing thing at Comic-Con.
Yeah, I saw he was there with George Lucas. He was talking about like the museum, like some wing of the Comic-Con museum, I think dedicated to George Lucas or Lucasfilm or something. He might have been at multiple panels, honestly.
The Lucas Museum, wasn't he?
Yeah.
I didn't watch the whole presentation. I just watched his clip saying that AI was bullshit, and it was a great clip.
Oh, nice, good.
Look it up. Okay, so presentation, roster, content. What's the content? I think the content's the thing we're gonna have the easiest time describing / pitching for a podcast. But
honestly, it's like I think what you really got to do is you really got to give people the ability to walk around in their world, because Mortal Kombat does a thing where they make a movie. You're getting a whole mini series out of it, and that's one way. And Street Fighter 6 did the world tour mode, and it people love the world tour mode in Street Fighter 6, which they basically just like turned it into like this like micro bite-sized Yakuza. Of
I
just
mean,
sort
that's
of
kind of cool.
you're just walking around and like you get in random fights, you do side quests for random NPCs sitting around park benches or whatever, right? Um, I think one thing you could go a step further in doing like a single player mode. Yes, you should have this world tour mode. That's you just think about like just think how like Yakuza works, right? Or is structured. Um, but you have a home, have like your apartment or your condo or whatever, your townhome. And you get to decorate it and earn things to
Like
put in
trophies and
trophies, or you could even put mini games in there. You could get like little quasi fake consoles with like little fake mini games on there or whatever, pretend to play them. Um, make them really hard, like the cooler stuff to earn. And of course, cosmetics. Like I think if anything, the one thing both Tekken 8 and Street Fighter 6 are both dropping a huge ball on, and they're saying like, well, they're higher fidelity games, they take so much more time and ever blah 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 blah. And I'm like, yeah, and there's thousands of people out of work, hire them, just have them make costumes and sell the
yeah,
costumes. Like,
having a literal closet you can go to in your game to
yes,
try on
I
costumes, that'd be
mean,
kind of a fun.
look at what people like. Why are people still playing Fortnite? Because of their locker. Everyone's individual locker in Fortnite is just full of all these characters that they can switch over to. And I'm like, yes, that should be everyone's closet, in your fighting game is you have this closet full of costumes, full of costumes. And not just color alts, like just costumes. Like if anything, you should have an entire massive wing of your development cycle that's just 3D modelers that just all they do is make costumes, and you have a metric shit ton that you can earn, have a metric shit ton that you have to pot what you get to buy. But if your game's free to play, again, I don't like putting shit. If it's a $60 game or a 70, God forbid, $80 game, nothing should be microtransaction. But say you wanted to do a free to play game, right? And you have like a good handful of costumes you can earn by playing the game and color alts for those. But then you really got to go the Smash Brothers route. If you made costumes like $1, or in Smash's case 75 cents for Smash Brother costumes, granted they were me costumes, but if you made them $1, $2, no more than three, but they were good costumes, like good unique costumes for like $3, $2, and you just had a whole team of people belting that shit out day in, day out, you'd make millions. You make millions just off. You make a really good costume that people really like and want, and you could even be scummy about it, like with Fortnite, where they have the whole FOMO thing, where they're like,
Yeah, like
okay, well,
COD. It's all COD does
just
now.
like, okay, swimsuit costumes are only on sale during the summer, and you have to wait. But don't do it like this random. We don't know when it'll come back. Maybe just be like seasonal event or whatever. But it's like if it was like $2 or $3, and it's like, okay, yeah, give me that G string. Let me put it on. Or better yet, give it a C cup for the guys.
And again, if we were making a hobo fight game that was photorealistic,
Ugh.
hobos and G strings, that's bisexual coding.
Dude, that is. I don't even want to know what your Google search history looks like.
You really don't. I don't want to know what it looks like.
But yeah, I think having an apartment for you, like honestly, yeah, this sounds a little Animal Crossing, but like people fucking love this shit.
Yeah.
People love decorating their own shit. Look at me. Like look at behind me. I love decorating. I love having cool shit. Hanging on the walls and stuff. So it's like, yeah, people love decorating shit. Like,
So
yeah,
you
it's
gotta
a
have a
fighting
story
game, but
mode.
have it there.
You have a story mode. You have the challenge mode. That's like you can do challenges to unlock. Like a cool challenge mode that I'm not sure they've ever done in a fighting game, but I think would be cool is like earning other people's costumes for the character that you're fight. So like having like, oh, I play blah 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 character, but I really love the costume of this other character, and so you go and beat them in a challenge mode, and like you get their clothes for your character. Like that
Even
would be
better,
sort of
even
wild.
better. You get their clothes and then they're down in their skivvies after it, like you stole it off them.
That character never has their original.
Imagine that. Imagine like a windscreen where like you beat down the opponent. You're like, yeah, and like you just see them reach down and like they rib and like they walk away and the character's like, and like yeah, it's my costume now.
His cape is my cape. This
Like, yeah, like have put him on cape, like it looks better on me.
the werewolf is shaved and you've just got a onesie that you fight in. That'd be pretty epic, actually. I don't know how hard that would be to like code, but
But also every character definitely, I think you would agree with, like every character has to be like very standout. Everyone has to be an extreme personality type, you know.
yeah, I mean, and that begs the question of like how many characters, like how big is your roster?
Well, and the other question is, are we talking about a 2D fighter? Or are we talking about a 3D fighter?
I assumed 3D, but
I feel like there's a hole in 3D because there's just Tekken left. Nobody likes Tekken. Virtua Fighter's coming back, which is pretty great, but well, it remains to be seen what happened there. But either way, I think 3D is right now this weird like hole to fill, because before there was like a point where nobody wanted to make 2D fighters anymore, but now it's the opposite, where it's like most people just went back to 2D, and now only Tekken's really around in 3D, and people don't even like it.
well, I think a weird question that happens when you have the 2D 3D conversation is like a lot of 3D fighters from my own memory, like, yeah, okay, you can change the camera angle occasionally, like things will rotate
Yeah,
or something like that, but like really you're still just fighting on a single plane.
more or less most of the time. Like you have sidestepping in 3D fighters, but yeah, most of the time you are fighting at a side view.
So and then if you
To
do
this
over the
day.
shoulder like a UFC or whatever,
I don't know. Those just
it's
something
hard to make
about
it look
this.
cool.
Something, yeah, exactly. Something about it is just. I mean,
Well, you don't get a dynamic view, right? You don't get you get the most useful view for parries and crap like that. Maybe I guess
and
I
I
don't know,
don't know,
maybe not.
dude, but like anytime I've ever like walked by a sports bar or just flipped through it on TV, which I don't even know when this would have last been, but anytime I flip by and see UFC on a TV, it just looks like softcore gay pornography.
How much softcore gay pornography are you watching?
Granted, none, but it's just like these guys, like, literally like mounting and like, putting all these other dudes in pretzel motions. And the only thing stopping this from becoming a gay pornography is the fact that they still have clothes on.
Well, yeah, they don't have cattails.
Okay. You know what I mean? It's just kind of like, oh, yeah, I got you all bent over and like, like everyone's doing like a mating press on each other.
Well, I mean that's like if you do a grappling, like although it would be very funny to have a grappling character and you just make all of their noises grunts. Like it's the only character there's questions about what that character's doing to the other character. Although wrestling characters like a Zangief and stuff, that's always fun.
Yeah.
Where they do a lot of like slams and stuff like that. Strictly Greco-Roman.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and thinking back about this too, with the whole costume, you remember there was like $2,000 worth of costume DLC in Dead or Alive 5, and it was like the most successful Dead or Alive game they ever had.
Yeah, but did anybody ever actually get all the costumes?
I think I heard about one person who did, but like the point is like highly successful. What did they do with their time? Just make a bunch of shit to sell people.
Well, Dead or Alive is probably like the horniest franchise.
Well, it's the deadest too, but
yeah, well, I guess they would be ripe for coming back. Just hyper hot. Although the most popular Dead or Alive that I've ever seen was the beach volleyball. So
right, which they kind of leaned into that and just kind of went with it because and that was the thing. That's the problem. Like Dead or Alive kind of is a prime example of where they lost, if they ever had it, which they maybe had a little bit, but they really lost it eventually, was the bisexual energy, and it just became gooner energy. Like and they just kind of like hardcore focused on the weirdo gooner audience, and they lost and they basically lost money. I'm like, because frankly, it's like
because it became shameful to buy it.
Yeah, it became kind of like embarrassing.
Or like you have a poster of Dead or Alive, and everybody's like, "I know what you're doing." Like playing a very good game, sir.
The thing is, they had hot dudes in there, but they just so slowly faded them out.
Well, they never put them on the posters.
Yeah.
All right, and we know why.
They missed. They went too far. They went too far. It's a fine line, and you cross over it, and it's just like, okay, well, it's just for young.
That fine of a line, really. It's a pretty thick line.
It's a pretty thick line. Yeah. I don't think it's that hard. I mean, like again, like you look again, keep just go back to to what Overwatch has, and it's like some horny shit in Overwatch. There sure is some horny stuff there, and in League of Legends, but it's like it's never to a point where it's like, okay, well, why are you playing this?
Yeah.
Kind of thing
Yeah,
where
they don't make the horniness the point of the game,
yeah.
which Dead or Alive sort of started to lean into that, I guess, at the end.
Mhm. See, what they really needed was dick physics.
Yeah, which again, if we were making the hobo fight game, dick physics would be huge.
Can you imagine
Do you know how many hobos fight naked?
have you ever seen oh god, I think they're called sea cuts or whatever, like the little like the banana slings for dudes. Like you have if you're gonna have like a dude fighter, have him in a banana sling and have that have like full on physics, just like flopping.
I guess I have
You
one
know.
question about this fighter. Is he waxed? Like, is he waxed from the neck down?
Dude, no, that depends on if it's costume A or B.
If it's costume B, he's just very hairy man.
Right? Yeah.
Like
Bro,
he looks like he's
okay.
wearing a sweater.
How many copies did Baldur's Gate 3 sell? Granted, we're talking about RPG now, but how many copies did Baldur's Gate 3 sell? A fucking lot.
Yeah.
They're not only do they have dick physics, they have multiple different things for your dick when you're making a character, and it's hair, no hair, circumcised, uncircumcised. Like they give it every male model has like at least 4 to 6 variants of hairless, hairy, circumcised, uncircumcised. Like, and lo and behold, this game, you know who Baldur's Gate 3 is exceptionally popular with?
Bisexual people?
Yep, the LGBT community, like insanely popular with the LGBT community. So I'm like,
sensing a theme here. We have a theme for this episode.
I'm telling you, bisexual energy goes so far, because
we're gonna
it's
have
not
a lot of purple and blue lighting, a lot of pink highlights.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is like why limit yourself to one audience? Why limit yourself to one crowd when you can have everyone?
The final thing that we really ought to talk about if we're gonna get this out there, if we're gonna build a completely new IP not based on anything, what studio?
Yeah. Who's in the best position to make a new fighting game and
Well, it can't be Arxis because they're not going to want to go with your hardcore penis energy.
Sure they will.
You think so?
Oh yeah, definitely. There's a bunch of hottie guys in Arc System. Arc System is also like the most open fighting game in the world. They're the only fighting game right now that has a openly statedly transgender girl fighter in it.
Oh shit.
Yeah, and they're the only fighter that has an openly stated non-binary character fighter in it.
Well, then Arxis is your guy. And they make great fighting games.
So I mean, yeah, Arxis is like the absolute coolest when it comes to representation right now, which is pretty crazy to think about. Again, like the thing is like, yeah, I'm not saying you cast away the Gooners. I'm saying you bring you just bring everyone along. It's always funny to me because I saw something where I can't remember what it was because I follow just Monolith Soft stuff or whatever, and someone was like, "Oh God, please no, don't tell me this is true. I don't want any wokeness coming into Xenoblade." I'm like, the game where they like the game with a gay couple, a lesbian couple, a polygamous quadruple, quintuple, whatever,
and a Welsh main character.
What? A game where they took a character, they made a non-binary character, and they went so far out of the way to make a character non-binary that when the internal code of the character is not a 0 or a 1, every male and female is designated 0 or 1 in the code of the game. And they took the one character who is but non-binary and they made her 2, or I'm sorry, them 2. So in code, this character, they are literally non-binary. They are not a 0 or a 1. They went way out of their way just to put that weird Easter egg that only a data miner or a programmer would know. Where they're like, this character, they're non-binary, and like, so do you designate it as a 1 or a 2 NPC? And he's like, and whoever at Molosov was like 2.
It's a fun nerd fact for maybe the three of you that don't know this. Those aren't zeros and ones. Those are opens and closes. Those are the electrical symbols for open circuit and closed circuit. The 0 and the 1.
The 0 and the 1, the binary code.
Yeah, they're not actual numbers. All right. So, final thought on making a brand new fighting game IP that's not based on anything.
I don't know who would. It would kind of be nice to see if you could give a lot of money to, because like someone like Iron Galaxy, who did do KI season 2 and 3, see what they could maybe do with Cut Loose. But then again, they flubbed their BR super bad with like the worst art style ever. Honestly, I would like to see maybe them learn from their mistakes a little bit, come back, and what does a modern day Team Ninja do with a fighting game?
Mm-hmm.
I know DOA 6 was a huge flop or whatever, but like, we're not talking about DOA specifically. I'm talking about like making a new fighting game. And again, I don't know what Capcom's doing, like, because Street Fighter 6 has been out for 2 years now, and they're starting their 3rd season. Like, that game's got to be close to like wrapping up production, as far as characters go, because they're about to start their 3rd season of DLC roster. So I'm like, I don't know. I know 5 went on for a while, but that's only because they had to make their money back. 6 has already made its money back. So I think at this point, it's like, would I like to see Capcom make a brand new IP? I kind of would, but that would piss a lot of people off, because Capcom has so many fighting game IPs that they've abandoned that it's almost like maybe not them. And same with Namco, where it's like, I'd rather Namco bring Soul Calibur back than make a new fighting game entirely. Which is where I'm kind of like leaning a little bit into the Koei Tecmo kind of route, or like you said, even the Arc System route. Although again, they're very busy with Marvel, and they have their own stuff to do. But
well, I think we're ignoring the elephant in the room, and that is that Tencent could make a really, really great alley fighter game.
I don't think they do it as an alley fighter, but they would definitely have the funds and the talent poached to. Because I forget who did Itsuno, who made all those directed most of those classic Capcom fighters.
They could make Alive or Dead 1.
Alive or Dead 1. Who does he work for now? Lightspeed Studios. Yeah, Tencent. Tencent poached Itsuno, who directed most of Capcom's big late 90s, early 2000s fighting games. Rival Schools creator, Power Stone creator, Devil May Cry. He took over for 3, 4, and 5. Technically 2 too. But yeah, like Tencent has Itsuno. They literally have
the guy to do it.
The guy to do it.
Well, my joke about Tencent ripping off a game falls flat, because they really could actually do something good. Fine.
Well, you just want Urban Reign back. Just say it.
Just want Urban Reign back. I just want Power Stone. Bring Power Stone back. On that note, we have patrons to thank. If you're interested in becoming a producer or a patron at any level, please check out patreon.com/YoVideogames podcast. Dude of the week is Bradley, the Rage Engaging Cook. Thank you so much, Bradley. And our producers for this episode are Dragon Wolf Makoto, Austinite, Zybernite, Skurnami, Croy35, LCL Mayhem, and Ziggy Z. Thank you, dudes. We'll catch you next time.
Later, dudes.